Siomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. Welcome back to On Siomra Beag, the digital tiny room. I am very popular character on the podcast, Michael McRide, and a very unfortunate series of events have brought me back this week, much to the excitement or not excitement of many of the listeners. And I am joined this week on the podcast, Michael McRide is my name. I am joined on the podcast by noted Dublin Protestant. It's Ben. Hello, Ben. Did you do?
Now, I let you on this podcast, Paddy, because I needed to have representation from you native scum. I certainly won't be putting up with that for the rest of this podcast.
You'll never bloody take the farm away from us, Benjamin, you Protestant landlord, you bastard, you.
As long as there's breath in my lungs, Paddy, land will be taken.
Now, I'm not trying to steer you in any sort of direction there, Ben, but when you said breath in my lungs, that would have been a good time to do the theme music, I felt.
Oh, you mean like this?
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
Very good. Benjamin, why don't you tell the listeners, Benjamin, what unfortunate series of events has brought me, Michael McRide, the podcast's most popular character, back onto the page, onto the screen, onto the earbuds. Benjamin, what do you say on a podcast? Onto the screen, onto the page, onto the what?
Onto the airwaves, Michael.
Onto the airwaves.
Onto the airwaves. Now, you wouldn't know much about that, Michael, because you're from an Ireland where technology didn't exist.
Yes, Mullingar.
Mullingar, Michael, and as you know, the radio or the airwave box, as you would have known it back in the day.
Yeah, no, we'd call it the old wireless.
The wireless.
We'd be listening to what's that fella? He's always doing the singing, Ben.
Right.
You know the fella,
Daniel
in the
O'Donnell.
country. Yeah, we'd be listening to Daniel O'Donnell, the countryside, listening to the songs that he'd be doing and singing about the mountains.
Right, for anyone who hasn't tuned out, for anyone who hasn't given up on this episode, this week our island, our reputation and our culture was assaulted.
Once again, Benjamin.
Once again.
Like it was for 900 years by your people.
And we can confirm that Hollywood is indeed at it again.
Because Benjamin, we're stuck in a slightly bad situation here because once again I've gone into Michael McRide, and as you know, Benjamin, I do find it very hard to sidle out of him. So I'm going to have to take a few minutes.
You sound an awful lot more like Bosco than you do like Michael McRide.
Well, Bosco, of course, very famously is part of the Dublin McRides.
Anyway, Michael, this week we were treated to a trailer called Wild Mountain Thyme, named after the famous Irish folk song.
Famous Scottish folk song, Ben, I think you'll find.
Oh, is it?
Jeez, yeah. I've certainly never heard it, have you?
No. More importantly, Michael, that's based on the, quite frankly, horrific, borderline racist play Outside Mullingar, written by an American, on the stories that his parents told him of the old country.
Oh, it'd be the hokey-dokey.
And what we're introduced to there, Michael, is Emily Blunt.
She's a famous English woman.
Noted English woman, Emily Blunt. Don't know where Saoirse Ronan was. Maybe she had too much dignity to get involved.
Maybe she said, will I fuck being that?
Yeah, I think that's probably it, Michael. We have Irishman Jamie Dornan.
No, is he not from the UK, Benjamin?
Well, it depends on who you ask, Michael. That's going to get me in all kinds of trouble. Jamie Dornan from the north of Ireland. And he should know better. He should.
Well, the good thing is, Ben, I suppose, that Jamie Dornan at least would be doing a good accent.
Yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you? You'd think that, Michael. But
did you read what he said, Benjamin?
I'm from only 120 miles from where it's shot, so it was grand for me. I don't think Jamie has ever travelled around Ireland where the accent can change from one neighbourhood to the next, let alone one county to the next.
Sure, Benjamin, look, don't we only live 10 minutes from each other, and look how different we'd be sounding.
So, Michael,
go on.
You've hit the nail on the head here with favourite podcast character, Michael McRide. The accents here
McRide,
are just Michael McRide. Sorry, nod to your Gaelic roots there.
Very good, yeah. I'm from Mullingar, you know.
Michael McRide probably has a better accent than Emily Blunt, Jamie Dornan, and noted thespian Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken from Mullingar.
Once upon a time in
What's
Ireland,
he doing?
where the fields are green and the cliffs are vast, there were two people madly in love, and they loved each other very much, don't you know? And I had a pint and sit my son down and said, "Now, look, son, you're going to have to put a ring on it because we're a good Catholic country."
Oh,
and
well,
it's
listen,
important.
no, Dad. I tell you what, I've been practicing me proposing on the old donkey crossing the field across the way. And, would you be loving the Rosemary, no, I have to say. Now, Dad, do you ever think that maybe Rosemary, Dad, is an English woman essentially doing Irish face?
Son, wash that from your mouth. Rosemary is as Irish as the land itself, as the green grass that grows on the hills, as the wind that whips through our valleys, as the Highlands, that's Scotland, and the moors, that's Wales, as Ireland itself.
Very good. Benjamin.
Yeah.
I think all this really shows us is that this film is no more about Ireland than it is for Ireland.
No, it's a fictional Ireland created for Irish Americans who have believed a very, very fetishized version of our good
and
green
I
oil.
don't think anyone would care if it didn't have an Irish person who should definitely know better and an English person who should probably know better in it.
I think, Michael, the great insult of Emily Blunt was she turned around to Jamie Dornan and said, "Is this grand?" It's grand. So Jamie Dornan said it was okay.
Jamie Dornan should be taking all the responsibility for this. It's all on him. He said, Benjamin, that have you ever been to Mullingar? They speak English like Americans gargling Lucky Charms.
Jesus Christ. Like, that's just insulting for everyone involved. That's not great.
It's set in the modern times as well, Ben. That's one of the best things about it.
I think it's supposed to be the 60s or something.
I don't know if it is
isn't
the 60s. John Hamm doesn't look like he's from the 60s. John Hamm starring, of course, as Hollywood actor John Hamm.
But he's got a car.
And
got a big fancy car, and he turns to Rosemary and he says, "Do you want to come to America with me?" And she does.
It was he who kissed me.
That's my favourite part, Michael, is that syntax seems to have forgotten its place.
It was he who kissed me.
'Twas he that kissed me.
Get it out of here, Ben. You should be banished from the land.
There's other wonderful stereotypes, Michael, like Jamie Dornan turning around and going, "The rest of Ireland might like to fight and drink, but not me, Rosemary, not me."
Yeah, he's a good boy.
That's very, very... I talk about fucking whacking the entire country with one slap of the shillelagh. Like, that's
very good.
Brutal. No, it is paddywhackery of the highest form, Michael. It is also currently experiencing, as one of my friends says, one of the greatest marketing boosts, apropos of nothing, that has ever been seen. Through sheer insult to a nation.
It's going to be great, Ben. People are going to love it. It's the Emily in Paris for Ireland.
We are going to have to go and watch it, you know that.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to do an episode on that. What's the one where Amy Adams can't find a husband?
Leap Year.
And what's the one where $1 Million Baby is dead?
Oh, I don't remember
P.S. I love
the name
you.
of that one. P.S. I love you.
We're gonna have to do a romantic comedy special, and Ben, we'll have to include my favorite one, the matchmaking one with Joan Garofalo, because that's actually quite good.
Oh yeah, that's a real deep cut. Okay, so we're doing Irish romance.
All right, we'll do it
in a future episode.
Very good, Benjamin.
I'm actually quite looking forward to that. That should be a really
that'll be very good.
episode.
And Benjamin will even get special guest host Michael McRide in, and he'll stay for the whole episode.
Noted favourite character of the podcast audience.
People love Micheál McRide, Ben. They're always tweeting us and saying, "Can we have more of Micheál McRide? Can we get him on?"
Only if we can get noted Hollywood star Christopher Walken in here.
Why's Christopher Walken in
it? In which?
Why is he in the film?
I don't know, because he just got put. I don't think Christopher Walken is even Irish American.
No, I don't think he is.
I think that's the thing. Like, I'd understand if it was somebody like, I don't know,
Sean Connery. No, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead. Who?
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, grand. Put Liam in it. Then you'd have one accent. Now, it wouldn't work because people from Mullingar don't sound like Liam Neeson.
No, nobody sounds like Liam Neeson did.
But at least it would be an Irish accent.
Bloody hell. Benjamin, let's move on from that to another fucking unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, I mean, Michael, you'd think, right?
Yes.
Let me pitch an idea to you, Michael.
Okay, you pitch an idea to me, I'll catch the idea.
So, next-gen console PS5 has just dropped.
Right.
Video games, it would be fair to say, Michael, are one of the dominant forms of entertainment in our society today.
If not the dominant, Ben, I think they make more than movies and music combined.
I think that's fair, Michael. Now, you know the Avengers, Michael.
I've heard of them.
Quite frankly, a worldwide phenomenon.
Marvel's Captain America.
Marvel's Captain America, an Anthony Stark.
Yes. Marvel's Kamala
one,
Khan.
A one Camembert Larson.
Oh, very good.
It's like there's a lot of movies there.
Yeah.
That have become very, very popular. And Michael,
Popular
what I was to
movies,
say to you,
yeah.
let's take worldwide phenomenon Marvel Comics Avengers.
I've heard of them, yeah.
And we'll slap it together with the most dominant form of entertainment on the planet.
Are you suggesting, Ben, a video game based on Marvel's comic Avengers?
But not only that, Michael, we'll take advantage of the huge mass multiplayer online market that exists from things like Fortnite and so on and so forth. And we'll put that in there too, Michael. I can't miss.
How could it fail?
How could it fail, Michael?
How could it fail?
Quite frankly, Michael, through a series of delays and lack of advertising because they thought this was a done deal, it's kind of fallen flat and nobody wants to play the game because it's not very good.
I don't think it's delays and lack of advertising, Ben, though. I think it's because it's not very good.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because it's not very good. I was trying to be nice, Michael.
It's because it's not very good, Ben. It's because it's not very good and it's swamped with your arch nemesis microtransactions.
Bloody microtransactions, Michael. Hate them.
Now, Ben,
hate them.
Let's explain microtransactions, not microaggressions.
Well, I'm not a big fan of those either, Michael. But yeah, microtransactions are, for example, when you're playing a game, Michael.
Yes.
And you're quite good at the game, but for some reason you can't quite beat a level, or maybe, Michael, if you're getting a bit of loot from the game, it's not the best loot you could get.
Right. Is there any way I could stop that, Ben, with a credit card?
Yeah, there is, Michael. You could go into your parents' purse and or wallet.
Right.
You could fish around. You could get that out there, and you could go to the online store, Michael, and you could buy yourself some in-game currency. Now, the in-game currency is important, Michael, because once you've bought the product you want, you still have leftover in-game currency. But that in-game currency isn't useful now because you don't have enough to buy your next thing. So you'll have to go and buy more in-game currency to make up the deficit that you have to buy something else because you don't want to waste the in-game currency. And that is the world of microtransactions. It is pay to advance or pay to do better.
Pay to win, Ben.
Pay to win is the model I was looking for. That's the one that was escaping me the whole time. Thank you, Michael.
Benjamin.
Yeah.
It's averaging less than 1,000 players playing online at any given time.
That's not
worldwide,
good.
Ben.
Worldwide, Michael.
Worldwide. 752 players online during November on average.
752
players, Ben, in the world. Marvel's Avengers, Ben. You've heard of it.
I think more people listen to our podcast, Michael.
They probably do. We've finally beaten Marvel. Huzzah! That's good news for the day.
That's no good.
No es bueno, Ben. It's lost 96% of its players, which is absolutely insane. And
it must be shockingly bad, so.
It's actually not that bad. That's the funny thing.
Oh.
But it's that it should have been great. And people thought it was going to be as good as the latest Spider-Man game on the PlayStation, which has been very well received.
Yes, because that's doing phenomenally well.
That's doing very well. So much so that it's getting a kind of side quill in the Miles Morales game.
Yes, it is. It's gone and gotten one. It's a full game, though, isn't it? Miles Morales is a full.
It's a full game, but it's based on the same game.
So it's based on the same engine, same idea.
Yeah, it's a side quill rather than a sequel.
Well,
but anyway, Ben, any other video game news for Michael and Benjamin's video game podcast?
So, Michael, I found out about this a couple of weeks ago, Michael, but you've jogged my memory on it. Michael, launching 5 days ago was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the latest installment in the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Right, are they going to the heaven of the Norse warriors, Ben? Is that what's going on?
They're going to the heaven of the Norse warriors to assassinate all the gods, Michael.
Oh.
No, what it actually is a Viking-themed Assassin's Creed, Michael, because what they do now, the game that once prided itself on historical accuracy is just like, well, it'd be cool if they had axes and braids, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And they've done all that. I think they're hopping on slightly late to the Viking craze. I think they're maybe a year out of date for the Viking craze, but
Possibly.
Look, it'll be grand. But Michael, that's not the exciting thing for us in the podcast. The exciting thing for us, come September 2021,
Yes.
there'll be a bloody expansion launched.
Oh.
And it's called Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Wrath of the Druids.
Oh.
Now, Michael,
Go on.
you and I both know when we hear the word druids, our little Celtic pagan ears prick up and we go, oh, Jesus, what's that?
I actually go, oh, Jesus, what's that?
Yeah, because Michael McRide, your Hulk-like alter ego, springs out. Excellent sneeze there. A shillelagh forms in your hand. The paddy cap actually grows into your skull as you morph into Michael McRide. Or Michael McRide, as the case may be. Anyway, Michael, Assassin's Creed is set to include the world of Ireland in the Viking era in their game come September 2021, including the slave trade of Dublin.
Oh, very good. Very historically accurate.
Very historically accurate, Michael, because during the Viking period, which was, you're better at this than me, dates are
760 something, I think.
Yeah, 760 something. So we'd say the 8th century, Michael. During the 8th century, Dublin gained economic kind of prominence due to the fact that it was a bustling slave trade hub.
Oh, hooray!
Oh, hooray. Oh, hooray. So for anyone who's out there and often says, oh, the Irish were never involved in slavery, we did it before anybody else, lads. We did it before anybody else.
Was it not the Vikings, though, Ben?
It was, but that's pretty much us, Michael. If you're from Dublin, there's a little bit of Viking in there somewhere.
Excuse me, love, do you have a bit of Viking in you?
would you
bloody like some?
No, we're not. We're not being scuppered. Stop it. Stop that.
Would you?
Stop it.
Would you bloody like some?
Stop it. Give over.
Okay, I will.
Give over. Just bloody. This is why we can't have a nice night out when you're around. Terrible.
That is very much untrue.
You didn't like it so much now, did you?
Do you have Ben?
Anyway, getting back
Give a bit of Viking in you.
One of the most interesting things about this expansion, is that it's going to allow you to wander around Ireland in the Viking period. They've redesigned all the Cronoghes, which are tree forts for people that don't. Not tree forts in the traditional sense. They're little islands that...
They're island forts, Ben.
Island forts. So that's all going to exist, and you're going to get to run around. And as you do, you're going to untangle the mysteries of the druids, which are... There's a cult of druids, Michael, in this. They're going to be your primary enemy, and they're called the Children of Danu.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yeah. So the Danu is one of our... You can't really say that they were Irish gods. One of our Irish supernatural beings. Part of the original race. You had Lug and Danu and all the gang.
All the lads, yeah.
They're going to run around and you're going to beat up some druids, Michael.
Oh, good.
Yeah, which I think is pretty interesting. I think that's the first time I've seen Ireland majorly featured in a video game.
I can't think of another one.
I mean, we've had some representation in video games. We've had the very strange Succubus Morrigan character from... It's not Street Fighter.
It's Darkstalkers. I think she's Scottish, though.
It depends really on who's the voice actress. Sometimes they get an Irish
she's Scottish.
I
think the character of Morgan Ainsland is canonically Scottish.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Never mind then. It looks like Children of Danu and the Wrath of the Druids will be the first time.
I'm just looking that up for you, Ben.
It'll be good. Thanks for looking that up for me.
Yeah, she's Scottish. She's Scottish.
So they've got some deer antlers strapped to their head. It looks pretty interesting.
Classic.
It's going to be very Celtic, very mysticy, very this and that and these and those.
And you're going to do a Let's Play, are you, Ben, on Twitch?
We probably should do a Let's Play, Michael, shouldn't we? We probably should. I'm going to have to get a PS5 to do that.
You'll get a PS5, Ben. We'll set you up. You'll do a Twitch stream. You'll be Ireland's first ever male e-girl.
Yeah, because Jacksepticeye doesn't have that title already. But anyway, yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll dress up in my fishnets.
Yes.
And I'll sell my bathwater. Yeah. And that's what I'll do.
I've got all the outfits for you, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to building my own simp nation. I'm looking forward to
What are we doing? Why are we talking about video games and simps? This isn't our usual topic.
Anyway, looking forward to that. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Wrath of the Druids, some Irish representation. Let's hope they don't get Christopher Walken to voice the Chief Druid.
Yeah. The Earth. Druids.
Do you want to give me a go?
No.
Me to do it?
No. I'm happy enough with
Listen,
that. Oh.
It's time for a sacrifice. It's not up to me. It's up to Danu. There you go.
Yeah, that was better. That was better than my one.
Yeah.
Benjamin.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us, though? All of this video game and Ireland talk aside, Benjamin, who even are the New Mutants?
Okay, that was excellent segue, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very
segue.
much.
So the New Mutants, Michael, are a 1982 series from Marvel Comics.
You know what else came out in 1982, Ben?
You?
Bloody this. Oh, yeah, you've spoiled it. It was me.
Sorry.
It was Ben. I was going to say, Ben, what had two thumbs and came out in 1982? Bloody this guy.
You're nearly 10 years older than me, Michael.
Yeah.
That's
normal.
mad.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah.
That's mad. Have you always been nearly 10 years older than me?
No.
Okay.
That's not how time works.
Okay. That's interesting.
Right,
That's
Ben.
interesting.
So the year is 1982. I'm a swaddling babe.
You're a swaddling babe, and
Yes.
you're handed your first Chris Claremont comic.
Oh, good. Well, that seems age inappropriate, but all right.
Which will really inspire the rest of your life and all the strange things that you're into.
Yeah.
Because that's what Chris Claremont does. Because Chris Claremont, as we've noted on the podcast several times, loves a bit of bondage.
But New Mutants is pretty not like that, to be fair.
It's tame. It's pre-Claremont.
Yeah, it's before he let his freak side out, let's be honest.
His freak flag was firmly folded away at the bottom of his closet. And it would come out later, but not in this. So the New Mutants, probably for the reason that it features so many young people, Michael.
Yeah, and they're very young, Ben.
And they're very young, and that's what makes it kind of better that he doesn't let that freak flag fly.
Yeah.
So the New Mutants, Michael, initially were a team of mutants that weren't old enough to be in the main X-Men.
Right.
But still needed a little bit of guidance because they were mutants.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, Ben. Not actually the story in the comics. That has kind of become the reverse history. But in the comic, that's not what happens at all. Professor X has just lost the X-Men.
Dun, dun, dun.
And he has no interest in forming a new team and watching them all die. And
that's
good
fair.
old Myra McTaggart, Ben.
Oh, Moira.
She's like, but Professor, we found these feckin' new mutants, and they don't have to be a special team like the X-Men. You can just help them to learn their powers.
Except that Moira McTaggart is Scottish and not Michael McRide's sister.
No,
She's very
don't worry
Scottish.
about the accents, Ben.
Jesus
Just
Christ.
imagine you're Jamie Dornan, and it doesn't matter. They all sound the same anyway.
Sure, I was born on an island only a little bit away from the other island.
Exactly. So, yeah, they come across. Captain Xavier has to save them all and gather them up into one little gang,
Captain
and they
Rogaine.
kind of become superheroes by default because they need to rescue each other.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Save
It's a
each
bit
other.
different, a little tiny bit different.
That initial lineup, Michael, is very international. I think one of the
So
other
international.
things that made it very interesting is we don't have that many Yankee Doodle dandies.
Just two.
Just
Out of five.
the two, Michael. We have Cannonball.
Yeah.
Or Samuel Guthrie, and he's got a bit of a propulsion power. He makes, what is this?
Bioenergy
No,
or
it's
something.
even better, Michael. It's even better. It's even more makey-uppy. Thermochemical energy that shoots out of his arse, and he can fly around like a cannonball.
It doesn't shoot out of his arse.
It shoots out of his arse.
It would be. That's a much more Mark Miller. No, not Mark Miller. Is that who I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no, you mean the cat that hangs outside your window, Garth Ennis.
Garth Ennis character, yeah.
Garth Ennis
Thermokinetic
character.
energy shoots out of his arsehole. Go on, yeah.
We have Karma from Vietnam,
Yeah.
and she kind of has a possession power. She can mentally
She does.
inhabit folks.
Yeah, she just possess you.
And her name is Jan Koi Man.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. No, that is her name. I'm tentatively stepping due to my, quite frankly, poor pronunciation of Vietnamese names. So apologies to any Vietnamese listeners.
Get Christopher Walken to do it.
No, do you know what? I just don't feel like it's in good taste, Michael. I'm not going to do it.
All right, fine.
I'm not going to do it.
All right, that's fine. Do you just let the listeners down?
Don't you dare incite the listeners' expectations to get me to do things, Michael. How dare you?
Okay, I won't.
How very dare you? Moving on from there, we have Mirage, or Danielle Moonstar, or Danny Moonstar, as she's kind of later known in the comics. And she's of the Cheyenne Native American tribe.
She is.
So she's a Native American. And she can create incredibly realistic illusions.
Yeah. Of your greatest fears.
Of your greatest fears. So
and they're coming to get you.
She's described in the Marvel database as an empathic illusionist, which is very difficult to say when you're hammered.
When she attacked you, Ben, you were attacked by Chris Claremont comics.
Yeah, just stacks and stacks of Chris Claremont comics of women being tied in just horrific depictions.
Don't forget tentacles.
There's a lot of tentacles, in fairness. Chris Claremont just... Thank God he didn't let the freak flag fly in this one. Moving on from there, Michael, we had Sunspot, or Roberto da Costa.
Yeah, he's from Brazil, Ben.
He's from Brazil, and he had superhuman strength fooled by sunlight. He turns into a charcoaly, sunspotty looking son of a gun.
Yeah.
And he's a bit like Nightcrawler without a tail and no teleportation. He's when he bamfs.
Because he's black?
No, because he turns into the big black sunspotty thing.
Okay, but I don't see the connection with Nightcrawler there at all. But all right.
His effect is often drawn the same way with different colours. They have the same kind of smoky thingy jig. Yeah, anyway.
He's not the Human Torch, though, Ben.
He's not the Human Torch. Does he have energy projection?
It depends. Sometimes he does. Usually he doesn't.
Okay, it depends on who's writing him at the time. What they need at the time.
What, when he was in X-Men Days of Future Past, he did.
Like,
but when he was in X-Men, when he was in X-Men Days of Future Past, he was Human Torch.
Oh, that's good. Or is it? I don't know. Probably not. And then, Michael, in the last of the original lineup was Wolfsbane, or Rain Sinclair.
Oh, be the hokey.
And she's Scottish.
Yes.
Not Irish.
It's all the same, isn't it? Doesn't matter.
And she had two different forms. She could transform herself into an owl wolf.
Yeah.
Or kind of a werewolf thingy.
She could be a wolf or a human or anything in between.
Or anything in between, Michael. She'd go through the phases. And that was the original lineup, Michael. That was the original gang. And largely, the reason we're talking about this, that's kind of the original gang that we have in the New Mutants movie with some notable additions.
Yes, because Ben, the New Mutants movie is out tomorrow by the time you're listening to this.
Yeah,
It's out tomorrow on streaming services. Of course, Ben.
Look at that.
Of course, Ben, look at that for timing. That is not like us. We should have been talking about this months too late.
Imagine it's almost like we planned it with a new calendar that we have to write down the ideas so we can time things a little better. Ben,
the calendar of writing down ideas, we call it. Benjamin.
That's what it's called, yeah.
That's what it's called. I don't think we need to particularly get into the history of the New Mutants film. It was filmed, 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Possibly 4 years now.
And it went through a series of trials and tribulations, Ben, including the buyout of Fox by Disney.
Yep.
Then COVID. Then it actually got a very limited cinema release, I think for contractual reasons.
And now again.
And then it got, like, cinemas closed and no one went to see the damn thing. And now, Ben, it's coming to its real final home and resting place, home streaming cinema.
Emphasis on resting place in this particular case. I mean, it has a fairly solid cast.
It has a very good cast, Ben. It has your favourite and mine, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy, who we talked about in the podcast last week. It
has a very young Maisie Williams.
A very baby Maisie Williams.
Who, when this was made, was at the height of her fame.
It probably would have been a good time to release it back then, when she was very relevant.
Well, that's the funny thing, Ben. When they were filming it, Maisie Williams was definitely the biggest star in it, but I would say Anya Taylor-Joy is now.
Yes, I think it's probably had a little shift in the power dynamic.
They have that drugs fella, Ben. You know, the drugsman.
The lad who got caught in the airport, who's also in the Stranger Things 2.
The Stranger Things. Charlie something?
Whatever.
He's English as well. He's English doing a Southern American accent, so that's probably just as bad as Jamie Dornan's.
It probably isn't. I generally find that if you want to get a good, decent accent out of people, get a British actor with a bit of training to do it.
I don't know. Emily Blunt is one of the best actresses of her generation.
Is she?
Isn't she?
Is that true?
I think Emily Blunt is generally well considered.
Jamie Blunt or Emily Doran?
Emily Doran, yeah. Benjamin.
Yes.
So it has a good cast.
It does. It does.
And it has a very interesting premise, Ben.
Go on, you tell me, Michael.
The New Mutants, Ben, are mutants who, the world knows about mutants, Ben. The world knows about the X-Men.
Good.
The world knows about superheroes. But when mutants are first revealed, Ben, often it's in spectacular and horrible ways.
Yes, they have a bit of a bloody violent manifestation.
So you'll remember, Ben, for example, that Rogue accidentally put her boyfriend in a coma.
It wasn't great, Michael.
Or Cyclops blasted some people, presumably.
I mean, we can only hope.
And it's often implied that Jean Grey caused a car crash with her parents.
She's a terrible person, Michael.
Yeah. So, Ben, what this movie presents to us is a special kind of home, a special kind of mental asylum. It's not a mental asylum, Ben, but it's a mental asylum. You know what I mean?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Get in the padded room there, will you?
Yeah, it's not a mental asylum, but it is a mental asylum.
Asylum.
And it's a home, Ben, run by a mysterious mutant benefactor.
Oh.
Who hopes to train new mutants, Ben, so that they can eventually move on to his special team of mutants. See what I'm saying, Ben? Who do you think it is?
It's almost certainly, Michael, 100% the evil doctor from the Weapon X program, who's going to turn them into living weapons.
Very good, Benjamin. You see, that's one of the problems, is obviously you're supposed to think it's Charlie X, Mr. Charles Xavier, Captain Xavier himself.
Oh, wait, was I right?
No, you weren't right, but you were not far off wrong either.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your bit there.
No,
I
that's fine, Ben.
genuinely thought I was picking the opposite answer.
You're always ruining my bit. You're supposed to think that it's Captain Xavier, Ben, and that the lady in it, I can't even remember her name, Celia Reyes?
Yes,
the
of
doctor,
course.
The doctor lady. You're supposed to think she's a Moira McTaggart type. And she's helping to train these new mutants so that they get control of their powers and they figure out what they are and then they can integrate into the X-Men.
Out of the goodness of her heart.
Yes. But, Benjamin, surprise, surprise, that's not what it is at all. And it turns out she's real mean.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, she's a real bad egg, Ben.
Oh, boo, boo.
Yeah. Look, spoilers, Ben. We're going to go into spoilers here now.
Go on.
Spoilers, Ben. It's the Essex Corporation.
Get out of town, Mr. Sinister himself, kicking along the hallways.
Of course, Benjamin, you don't see Mr. Sinister himself. You never find out anything about the Essex Corporation.
Oh.
I watched this movie, Ben, with my good lady friend, and she said to me, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I assume it's some sort of evil corporation, dear."
I would
And she
imagine.
said, okay.
I mean, it's a pretty good guess from your good lady friend.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really enjoy about that, Michael, is that is probably an event that has mimicked itself across the globe, where many significant others have heard their partner go,
the Essex Corporation.
And they've gone, what?
What's that?
What's that?
What's the Essex Corporation? Are they bad? Are they baddies?
You all right there? Do you want me to get you a glass of water? You okay?
Yes, no, they're bad. They're quite bad. They're the bad guys.
Quite bad. Should I explain to the listeners why they're quite bad? Does it
explain
matter?
to the listeners who the Essex Corporation is, Ben, because the fucking film most certainly doesn't.
So there is a famous villain in the X-Men universe, and his name is Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
And he is the very model of a modern major eugenicist.
Yeah. He's very left-leaning.
Yeah, he's not really at all.
No, but left sinister.
Oh, Sinister. Sorry. That was excellent.
It was excellent. Like the X-Men. Oh, very good. It's full of puns today.
All right. Well, he is the very model of a modern major eugenicist. And he enjoys tinkering with mutants to bring out their maximum potential. And what he tries to do in doing that is he finds ways to replicate their powers for himself. Mr. Sinister is an ageless kind of Jack the Ripper-esque.
He's from London in the old times, isn't he?
He was Nathaniel Essex back in the day.
Oh, mate.
And he wasn't a bloody good guy. He was like, oh, what's that? A little manifestation of a mutant power, eh? Oh, why don't you step into my clinic and I'll give you a right old checkup.
Oh, mate.
Oh, I'm going to get an eel pie after this way. And that was, jeez.
That was as accurate as Jamie Dornan's accent in the film.
That was as accurate as Jamie Dornan's accent, with apologies to any Victorian listeners who might be tuning in. So, Nathaniel Essex is a big bad egg. He's a big white vampire looking son of a gun. He's got a gem in the middle of his skull, and he is famous for experimenting on mutants, kidnapping mutants to experiment on, and he's not very gentle. His bedside manner could use some work. Yeah, he's a bad egg. Well, Ben, all of that is, of course, entirely irrelevant because he's not in this. Which is a shame. There are 8 people in this. This is a cast of 8. A cast of 8 and a flop of thousands. It's pretty impressive to have such a small cast. I mean, yeah. So we have those 3. Anya Taylor-Joy. So we have Anya Taylor-Joy, Ben. Well, hold on. Let's start from the start. We have
Maisie Williams. She plays Rain Sinclair. She's a lady and a wolf. She's Lady Wolf. That's what I would have called her.
Is that what she's called? Is it?
No. They don't use their codes, so she's never called Wolfsbane. She's just Rain Sinclair, who's a Lady Wolf.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. But she's a Lady Wolf. You have Roberto da Costa, Ben. He's a Brazilian playboy millionaire.
A bit of a Warren.
Yeah, you have Samuel Guthrie, Ben. He's played by that drugsman from Stranger Things.
His name is Charlie Heaton, by the way.
Charlie Heaton, yeah, he's English, but in this he's from Alabama or Georgia or somewhere down the mines.
He's from down south.
Yeah. You have, who's the other one? Oh, you have Danny Moonstar.
Played by Blue Hunt.
Blue Hunt, Ben. She's a Native American lady.
Very good
and
for her.
You don't have the Vietnamese character Karma. She's been replaced, Ben.
Excuse me?
She's been replaced in a case of whitewashing with Anya Taylor-Joy. Anya Taylor-Joy playing the Russian Ilyana Rasputin.
Oh, no. Did we just nix a character of colour? Is that what we did?
I think it might have been. Look, I think
just roll her into Magic there.
Just roll her into Magic. Magic is a more interesting character. So Magic, Ben. You see, no one is called by their character name, but at one point someone says, Ilyana, don't go and fight it. It's Magic. And she says, yes, so am I.
Does she use a Russian accent like that throughout the film?
She does, yeah. The whole film. But Anya Taylor-Joy is good at accents, so it's not annoying. It's actually all right. She is the most interesting character, Ben.
Yes, I've heard that said of the reviews, apparently.
She plays a mean girl.
She's very much the it girl at the minute, though, Michael, so I wouldn't be surprised if the reviews kind of skew her in that light where it's like, oh, well, Anya Taylor-Joy is the best thing about it.
Well, Benjamin, I was talking to my good lady friend after watching the film New Mutants.
Your good lady friend who you live with.
Who I live with, yeah, she's within eyeshot now. And I said to her, I enjoyed that, but you know what? I enjoy superhero films, so of course I enjoyed it.
What did you bloody think of it? Because you're not a superhero person.
No, she also enjoyed it, Ben.
Oh, well,
it's a good film.
It's
a good film. And in fact, if you look at the reviews of it, which came out when it was out in cinemas, Ben, which we decided not to do because we decided not to review it until people could see it safely.
We didn't want to promote a non-compliant COVID lifestyle.
Exactly,
Michael.
Ben. So people generally liked it, but they said it's just not world-shattering. It's nothing mad special. It's
a quiet little burner.
It's the best X-Men film that has been out in a while.
Well, that is that high praise? I don't know if that is high praise.
It's not high praise,
bar.
Ben. It's certainly better than Dark Phoenix.
Many things
It's better than X-Men Apocalypse. I enjoyed it more than Days of Future Past. It's I mean, aside from Logan and Deadpool 1, but not 2, it's good. It's a good film. But when you have a film about 5 teens being held captive in a creepy mansion, it has a couple of flaws as a film about 5 teens being held prisoner in a creepy mansion.
Well, go on.
First flaw is the creepy goings on. Remember, Ben, this was advertised as a horror film which had mutants in it.
It was.
But the problem with it being a horror film which had mutants in it is the source of the horror is very obviously from the beginning Danny's powers.
Oh, she's scaring everybody.
See?
Oh, because she creates illusions that are based on your worst fears.
Exactly, Ben. And after it happens for the first time, you're like, all right, well, look, lads, this is just Danny's powers, and she's a goodie, and she just hasn't got control of her powers yet, so just give her a dig out, and then all the scary stuff will go away, and then you can just escape together.
Oh, it's a classic little case of revealing too soon. Oh.
Is it a case of revealing too soon, Ben, or is it just the fact that I know who Danny Moonstar is and what her powers do?
Well, I mean, that's fair enough, isn't it? It's the burden of knowledge, Michael. You've been cursed with... I've been cursed with having read most of New Mutants. Yeah, that's a shame. It's a real shame. Does it spoil the suspense? For me, absolutely 100% spoiled the suspense. I enjoy a horror film, Ben. You do. But I don't enjoy a horror film where the origin of the horror is clearly known right from the before you even sit down to watch it. You know where the horror is going to come from. Yeah. So maybe it's best if you don't listen to this episode and just watch it. It's a bit late now, isn't it? Bit late now. Bit late now, Ben. Bit late. Could have said that earlier. Probably. The other problem in it is that for a story about 5 teens from diverse backgrounds trapped in a
in a horrible situation and trying to work together to get out.
Yes.
Without all of the supernatural and superpowered trappings, Ben, you can often make a pretty good film about that.
Yes, I think you probably could.
Yes, Ben, The Breakfast Club, for example.
It's a classic, Michael. A bottle episode, a bottle movie, all set in the one room.
What does The Breakfast Club thrive on, Ben? But character moments.
Yes, a bit of tension, a bit of character moments.
And this is a bit lacking in character moments. The only one who really felt like a character is Ilyana Rasputin.
Yes, noted magic user Ilyana Rasputin.
Because she's mean. She's the mean girl.
Which is character of a sort.
She's the closest to a fully developed character in it. She has a backstory about why she's mean. Her backstory informs the things that she's frightened of, and those things that she's frightened of prove to be the main threat for 3/4 of the film.
Oh, well, that is interesting.
Yeah, so she is arguably the main character.
So did the other
Danny
characters...
Moonstar's the point of view character.
So the other characters don't get that kind of development. We don't understand why they're afraid of the things they're afraid of, or...
Well, we do. Each of them gets a scene. For example, Ben, Rain, Lady Wolf, as you call her,
yes,
her origin is exactly the same as the comics. She is a young Catholic girl.
Yes.
From wee bonny Scotland.
And does Maisie Williams do now a Scottish accent?
She does a mild Scottish accent. She doesn't over-egg the pudding, to my opinion. But
that's good.
I don't know, I'm not Scottish. And she goes to confession, Ben, and tells the priest about what's going on, and he reacts very poorly, Ben.
As they often do, Michael, when you confess a bit of sin.
And he lynches her, essentially, and brands her. He brands her with a W, Ben.
Boo. For a witch.
And then later he attacks her again, and he attacks her with the W, but it's turned upside down, and now it's an M. Do you get it?
Mutant.
Exactly, Ben.
Oh, very good, Michael.
Exactly.
Very good.
Very good. Samuel Guthrie, Ben, he caused a cave-in which killed his dad and all the work crew.
Down the mines.
Yeah. Ilyana Rasputin, Ben, appears to have been a child sex slave for the Russian mob.
Fuck.
Gross.
Jesus,
gross.
Where did that come from?
Gross and horrible.
Oh, Michael.
So that's what's
just
wrong
came
with her.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with her.
Jesus.
It's never flat out said, Ben, but it's very heavily implied.
Jesus.
That's what the smiling creepy men are. Yeah. No use.
Oh, that's so dark.
Very unpleasant.
Didn't know where that came from. I was like, okay, right.
Sunspot killed his girlfriend. In classic
Sunspot,
classic powers coming alive moment.
Had a rogue moment.
Yeah, he had a rogue moment. Some of the odd things are, Ben, I don't know if you've read the origin comics of the New Mutants from 1982, the year I also originated.
Yes, I've read your origin comic, Michael, that you wrote and illustrated yourself and made me read when I did this podcast.
Yes, that was good. It's one of my favourites.
It was very
Benjamin,
good.
In the original comic, Danny Moonstar is the firecracker, non-rule following killer of the group.
Badass.
Yeah. And in this, she's reduced to the point of view, what's going on, why is it all happening to me character. And Ilyana Rasputin steals her role as
the badass.
Firecracker. Yeah. Also, Ilyana Rasputin steals Lockheed.
What?
Yeah, Lockheed, traditionally associated with Shadowcat, Sprite, Kitty Pryde.
Yes, Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, in this movie, he's Ilyana's dragon, not hers.
Lockheed is a little dragon, ladies and gentlemen. He's a little alien dragon that flies around. Is he a real dragon in this? Is he a...
He's a hand puppet.
Oh.
But her powers seem to be based around magic, so she seems to have the ability to turn him real.
That's interesting.
And he turns back into a hand puppet then.
Oh, maybe that's not interesting. I don't know.
No, it is. It's good.
I don't know.
It's good. Look, Ben, it's a good film.
Oh, that's good, Michael. That's good.
It's an overall good film. The creepy stuff is creepy enough.
Okay.
The superpower stuff, there's arguably not enough about it, but it's not supposed to be a superpower team film.
Okay.
You know, each of them use their powers essentially once in the denouement, where for the last 10 or so minutes, it becomes a superhero fighting film.
Well, that's good. We need a little bit of that at the end.
It's a bit lacking in character moments. It doesn't have a great Breakfast Club moment. And if it had a little bit more character development between the 5 main characters, it could have been ace. I would have gladly watched the sequel to this, Ben.
Really, Michael?
gladly seen a sequel to this. I think it could have been quite good, and I think there was potential for developing the characters and making it very interesting.
That is interesting, Michael. That's a shame.
But I also think Fox would have ruined it.
No, they tend to.
By, only bringing 3 of them back and introducing 9 more in the sequel.
Well, you see, you have to have it for merchandising rights, you see.
Yeah. And just ruined it. Funnily enough, Ben, in the X-Men films, a lot of the, you have to bring in a lot of characters for merchandising. The X-Men films didn't sell a lot of merchandise. They didn't sell a lot of toys. They didn't sell Happy Meals and stuff that needed new characters coming in all the time.
See, that's the thing. I would argue a lot of the time, some of what was lost in those original X-Men films, Michael, is they're a bit too realistic. So they don't appeal to children in the same way. I think for a lot of people, that 90s era X-Men, right? 90s cartoon X-Men is kind of peak
have a shelf
aesthetic.
Over there, Ben.
Yes, you have said action figures right over there. And Michael, in that regard, they're kind of prime merchandising aesthetic. They're brightly coloured. They're very distinct from one another. Distinguishing facial features, distinguishing costumes, a bloody ethnically ambiguous lady in a long coat who shoots sparklers out of her fingers. I know who it is.
She's not ethnically ambiguous. She's Chinese.
Oh, is she? Okay, I didn't know that. It's a bit racist making the Chinese character have fireworks powers, isn't it? Is that racist? Is that racist?
She's Chinese American. She was adopted.
Is that racist of me to assume, or is it racist of the people who made it?
No, it's racist of you, I think.
Oh, it's racist of me.
Noted racist.
Oh, shite. Well, that's not great, is it? I nearly made it through a whole episode.
Anyway, you were going on about merchandising.
Sorry, yeah, those are like peak prime merchandising aesthetic. And the problem the X-Men movies had, especially in the early days, let's say X-Men 1, 2, and 3, with noted bad egg Bryan Singer, those are just actors in black costumes, and it's not very exciting for kids to want to buy.
Benjamin, those films, you see, you were too young, I feel, because you were a kid, but those films were seminal films. And I don't mean covered in jizz, Ben. I mean, they were vital to the pop culture landscape that we have today. And you could not release the Marvel Cinematic Universe today without the groundwork laid by those X-Men films. So I kind of disagree with you. Okay. I think it needed those first steps. They were the nascent babes in swaddling clothes that gave us the template that Marvel used to create this ridiculous multimedia empire they have today.
I mean, I wouldn't argue with that for a second, Michael. In fact, I dare say you're absolutely 100% correct.
Right, go on.
Something that pains me, Michael. It burns my tongue as it comes out of my mouth. But I meant purely from a merchandising point of view, purely from shifting junk to kids and stuff like that. You're not going to...
And grown men.
And grown men who have rooms filled with this that make excellent soundproofing, surprisingly. But yeah, in that case, it's a bit different. Do you know what I mean? It's... they just don't work the same. They're just not colourful. There were no costume variations.
Well, I mean, you could say that for this film, because none of these characters have an iconic look in this film either.
That's a shame.
Yeah, like Daniel Moonstar dresses like a 15-year-old girl, and Rainn Wilson dresses like a frumpy 15-year-old girl. And Ileana Rasputin dresses like an edgy 17-year-old girl. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just an edgy film, isn't it? That was what it originally was envisioned as. It's like, how do we make the X-Men cool and hip?
I don't think that's what it is. I think you should watch it, Ben, because I quite liked it. I don't think you'll like it because you don't like horror and you don't like things which are good. But I like
this podcast just fine. Zing!
Exactly. Oh, you got it. You nailed it on there.
We got us both.
Anyway, Benjamin, let's wrap it up there, I think.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, Michael. Michael,
yes.
If you were to recommend any kind of reading, what would you recommend to go with the new...
Well, I mean, for New Mutants, Ben, the original kind of saga, the opening saga, the first few issues of New Mutants from the 1980s aren't great.
Okay.
They're nothing special. It's the fourth or fifth iteration of Charles Xavier forming a team of young mutants.
Right, go take a look at the fourth or fifth iteration, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's the fourth or fifth time. We've already had...
Oh, sorry.
By this stage, we've had X-Men, we've had the new X-Men, we've had X-Factor, we've had,
Yeah, we've gone through the gamut.
Yeah, so I can't recommend going and reading Charles Xavier forming a new team. By the way, in the comics, Ben, it's not Nathaniel Essex who's the bad guy, it's Donald Pierce.
Oh, noted bad egg Donald Pierce, the man who came up with the Reaver. Is it the Reavers?
Yeah, the Reavers, the cyborg from the Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
So where was I going, Ben?
I thought you were going to say Donald Trump.
Demon Bear. Yes, Ben. So the last 20 minutes of the film is about the Demon Bear.
Oh, what the old Warpath jam?
No, Demon Bear is Daniel Moonstar. Demon Bear. The Demon Bear saga is the Bill you say it.
Sikenovich?
Yeah, that'll do.
Something like that.
Saga from the New Mutants comics.
What?
But much further down the line, Ben.
What?
But Ben, if you're going to read the Demon Bear saga, do be aware that it's about 30 issues of comic books.
That's a lot. It's a commitment.
It's a lot to read. So settle yourself in for a week.
That's a commitment.
If you want to read the Demon Bear saga. But it's not really a saga in the sense of the Dark Phoenix saga or even modern comics where things are like 12 issues. There are plenty of issues in it it's much more like old-fashioned television, Ben. It's an arc. It's an overall arc, which has some issues which focus heavily on the Demon Bear saga,
right,
but some which just touch on it.
Oh, well, that's interesting, Michael, isn't it?
Oh, one of the other things, Ben, one of the funniest things in New Mutants, before we go, is New Mutants has a lesbian couple, Ben.
Oh, very, very modern, very inclusive. Very
modern, Ben. And just before that's revealed that they've fallen in love and are doing a kissy-wissy. On television, the characters are shown watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And the scene they're watching is the scene where Tara and Willow fall in love and have a kissy-wissy. One of the first lesbian couples on television.
Bloody Chekhov steak, Michael. Chekhov steak.
And then, Ben, later on, the New Mutants are watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and they watch the Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode Hush.
Which is about silent lads with big smiley faces.
Big silent lads in suits with big smiley creepy faces coming to get them.
Oh, very interesting,
and then moments
Michael.
later, they're attacked by... So the movie really wears its inspiration on its sleeve, and what it's saying is, I liked Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so here's this film, but about mutants.
We stan a Buffy. That's good. That's good, Michael. Look at you. You got some deep cuts for Michael Leonard. 1982. Bloody Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I have just finished watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Ben. All 7 seasons.
Oh God, you poor man. You all right?
No, it's great.
Do you want to talk about
One of the best television shows of all time.
We do another bloody episode on that. We've done one already.
We'll do an episode on it someday.
We've already done one, but we can do another one on how it's influenced just about everything since.
Just about everything, Ben. Let's wrap it up. We've been trying to wrap it up for 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, you got very excited about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but ladies and gentlemen...
Because it's in New Mutants, Ben.
Ladies and gentlemen... What did you think of the New Mutants film? Are you a New Mutants fan? I take it you're not, because I tried to ask the Instagram and nobody got in touch with me. So
nobody answered, Ben, for the first time ever.
For the first time ever, it was just silent as the grave. So this will probably be one of our least listened to episodes of all time.
Oh, excellent.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to get in touch with us and suggest some things, you can get in touch with us in lots of different places. We're on the interwebs at www.seanreview.com. That's one extra
Too many W's.
Too many dubs. Too many dubs. Or you can find us on Instagram at Seomrabeag, SEOMRABEAG. My brain's not working today.
Irish.
Kind of. And yeah, you can get in touch with us there. If you're listening to us on one of your favourite podcast platforms, in whatever way you could give us feedback or a review, please do so. It does so help the podcast get on and out there. Ladies and gentlemen, you can join us in a week's time where we will be discussing the topic of It Was All a Dream.
Or was it?
Or was it? And we're going to be looking at the convention of using dreams as a narrative device and why your English teacher told you it was no good.
Yeah.
No good. All right, ladies.
I don't think that is what we were doing, Ben. Remember, we had this conversation before and you were a little bit confused then. We're doing an episode on TV shows and films where it's revealed that maybe it was all in the character's mind.
Yes, and how disappointing that can be and why your English teacher told you shouldn't do it because it's no good.
Very amusing and witty.
All right, that's it from us, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Oh, goodbye now. Oh, Peter Huggy made a roll right up to the field and salt into you until the grand old time.